says, no, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing. Now, you know when you see that, this is what should happen in your head. Ding, 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 ding. This should grab your attention. Look at those words again. No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing. Those words right there should be like, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It is time to focus on this one thing. Multitaskers, which so many of us have. So many of us aspire to be. To multitask means you're doing a lot of things poorly at once. Plain and simple. You're doing a lot of things halfway at one time, if even that. Anyone that's any good at anything focuses extremely on it. Plain and simple. You take the greats in any area of life, finance, sports, competition, whatever it is, and they have a what is to most of us an annoying quality, and that is an extreme obsessive focus on what it is that they do. Well, when it comes to following God, you and I should be like that. We should have an obsessive focus on doing it. And Paul says here, let's not miss it, he says, I focus on this one thing. Forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. But I don't want to gloss over that. So many of us are characterized and live in the past. For example, I could find a lot of people right now that say, well, how's life going? Oh, you know, man, it's been so tough. 2020, so many things happened in 2020. Guess what? 2020's gone. And you know, life was going to be so good, but back, about 5 years ago, this happened, and about 10 years ago. Guess what? Learn from it, grow from it. I'm sure it was tough. It's a part of who you are, but it's gone. Everything was going great until I just made this big mistake, and I'll just never get over it. I just feel so guilty. Why are you living in the past? Paul said, the past is gone. Paul could look back in his past. You look at the beginning of chapter 3, he did all kinds of horrible things. Murderous things. He wasn't for the Lord. He was fighting against them. And Paul could have said, I used to be this. And he did. He goes, he was the chief of sinners, he calls himself. He says, yet I'm forgetting the past. I'm looking forward to what lies ahead. Same thing's got to be true for you and me. He says, I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. When you run a race, you win the race by looking ahead, not behind you. You run the race by thinking about and obsessing on the finish line. And thinking about the prize that awaits you if you run in such a way that you might win. And it's that motivation, and it's that focus, and it's that thought on that prize that pushes you forward, that keeps you running when it seems like you can't run anymore, that gives you that extra oomph when you're ready to collapse and give up. It's that motivation that pushes you through that wall that seems unscalable. And Paul said, he goes, I press on to reach the end of the race. I mean, as he writes this, he's in jail. And he goes, I'm pressing. He goes, there's a race. He goes, I only have so much time. And at the end of it, there's a heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. I'll tell you one thing. Have you ever seen those runners in the Olympics? And they just they're in the race, right? And they leave nothing. They hold nothing back. And they're just given every single thing they have. And they see that tape, that finish line tape, right? And when it seems that they've exerted all the possible energy they could possibly exert, they see that tape, and you see at the end there's that final what? There's that lunge. In other words, at the very final moment of the race, if you were to look at the one who wins, you say, well, did they ease up? No, at the end of the race, they literally gave everything. They lunged forward to it with all that they had. And of course, what do they usually do at the end of the race? All the energy is gone. They literally collapse to the ground. If you see somebody just run across the tape and go, oh yeah, that was cool, you realize they didn't give it all. He goes, I press on to reach the end of the race to receive the heavenly prize. You're getting older, guess what? It's time to go harder. You're getting closer, it's time to go harder. Jesus said himself that we are to occupy until he comes. That doesn't mean go hide in a closet somewhere. That means to occupy, to influence, to be in the world, to do what we got to do. To be the light, like he said. A city that's set on a hill is not hidden. You don't take the light and put it under a lampstand. No, you let it shine. That's what Jesus said. To receive the heavenly prize. When I get to heaven, I want to lunge through the tape. I don't want him to find me going, man, what were you doing the last 10 years? I want to give it all for as long as I can with everything that I have.